Welcome back to Hardware Unboxed for last month's recap. Last month we produced 24 videos covering a wide range of products and topics, and yeah, this is the recap. I'll be quickly touching on every video that we did put up last week and making a few notes here and there and maybe even talking about a few comments from you guys. So let's get into it, shall we? Tim kickstarted things in July with his The Ultimate Gaming Experience video as he checked out 1440p 165Hz gaming. Tim looked at a lot of games and really enjoyed his time testing. The focus of the video though was mostly on Tim's right hand, which spent the entire time under the desk, and this amused many of the viewers. There was an interesting number of theories in the comment section as to what was going on there, but the truth is Tim blew out his shoulder the day before moving some furniture, and he found it very painful to hold his arm up on the desk. So yeah, that's really all there is to that one, but it seemed like a fun story for many of you anyway. Moving on, Tim also checked out the awesome little Gigabyte AORUS GTX 1070 gaming box, and for this one he did manage to keep both his hands on the table and his arms were working quite well by now. For those of you rocking a new Ultrabook or some kind of laptop that can't play games but would very much like to, then I suggest checking out the gaming box as it is a pretty cool device. After that, it was time for me to finally do some work, so I created some content and I hit you guys with my top 5 CPU picks prior to the release of Ryzen 3 and Threadripper. I had a lot of fun with this one, and it stirred up quite a lot of discussion in the comment section. Hopefully I'll have time to do an updated version soon now that we do have a few new processors to look at. Having stirred up things on the CPU front, I thought it was time to get all nostalgic and look back to AMD's GPU glory days with the Radeon HD 7950. I played a few games on the old 7950 and then threw up some benchmark graphs, and the results were quite surprising. For testing, I did use the Gigabyte HD 7950, and this was the very card I used in my initial review back in February of 2012. So again, that was a nice blast from the past. Then it was time for what is becoming one of my favourite segments, unboxing boxes. There was plenty on desk for episode 31 though. Most of it got pushed aside the first few seconds into the video. I got some pretty sweet gear for that one. My GT 1030 graphics card that I purchased also arrived. Sadly though, I just haven't had time to test that one yet. You guys keep requesting the GT 1030 versus RX 550 comparison, and I keep saying it's coming. But yeah, so far it hasn't. Anyway, I'll try and get that one done probably next month. I'll test a heap of esports titles and some games. It should be a good video, something to look forward to. Sucking up most of my time last month was Intel's new Core X series, and I've been putting off looking at the Kaby Lake-X parts. So this is what I tackled next. I checked out the confusing Core i7 7740X and Core i5 7640X, aka Krappy Lake. The cheeky title seemed to gain more attention than the slew of benchmarks on that one. I'll definitely keep that in mind for future videos. If you happen to own the ViewSonic XG2703-GS monitor, you'll want to make sure you check out Tim's performance and calibration guide. In typical Hardware Unboxed fashion, Tim covers the product's performance from top to bottom. So yeah, if you do own this model or you're thinking about buying it, be sure to check that video out. All this high refresh rate monitor talk from Tim got me all worked up in July, and I thought it was about time I did a bit of a look into this high refresh rate gaming, so I built a Ryzen gaming PC, and I added the AOC 240Hz 1080p gaming monitor to it. I did this with my creatively named RyzenWatch PC build. It did look quite cool to build and it ran very nicely. I had a heap of fun with that video, and thankfully you guys seem to enjoy it as well. Then it was time for Corsair's new NX500 SSD review. Basically, the NX500 was a modified version of the existing MP500 series, but unfortunately the new retail price makes it a bit of a hard purchase to justify. Overall though, a solid performer. It just needs to be a little more cost effective. Well, actually, it probably needs to be a lot more cost effective, but anyway, good SSD, not such a good price. Up until this point, I'd mostly produced what I would say is easy to create content, or at least easier than some of the content I do. And basically by that I mean I didn't spend a week or so to produce any of it. This was because I was slowly piecing together my massive 30 game comparison between the Core i7 7800X and the Core i7 7700K. A heap of time and effort went into that one. It was a big one, and boy was it a lot of fun. I won't spoil the results for that one, but if you are interested to see how those two processors compare in games, I recommend you check it out. Quite amusing in the comments section. The top 3 comments actually had absolutely nothing to do with the video, and they were actually, of course, Ryzen related. I get you guys like Ryzen, but boy oh boy, it's going to be a rough old time in the comments section if by some miracle Intel gets serious and beats AMD in terms of price versus performance with their 8th gen series. Oh, it's going to be a bloodbath. For those of you missing our boy Tim, he was back at it again with another AORUS gaming box type video, this time testing a truckload of games. Personally, I enjoyed this video and found it very interesting. Sadly, it wasn't that well received, certainly not as well as received as I thought it deserved, and I think that's because most seem to miss the point of this device, or maybe we did. Anyway, it was a good video in my opinion, well worth checking out if you are considering buying the gaming box. Choo choo! I probably shouldn't do my own sound effects. Anyway, that was the sound of the Threadripper hype train making its monthly appearance, as it did so on July 15th as AMD officially announced the 1920X and 1950X, along with some information regarding a couple of the Ryzen 3 CPUs. It was an exciting video at the time, but for obvious reasons you can safely skip that one now. Even after watching the Core i7 7700K dismantle the 7800X in 30 games, even then if you're still keen to pick one up, well, we had a look at the overclocking, temperatures, and power consumption for you. I wore a white shirt for that video, and I don't know, it just didn't seem to work as well as it normally does, so I ended up trolling myself in the comments on that one, and that little gem was awarded top comment, so a win for me, I guess. Then we have Tim back at it once again with a very cool video looking at how well integrated graphics, namely Intel's integrated graphics, works in games, or maybe I should say rather how well it doesn't work. Anyway, Tim tested out 31 games using various quality settings and reported his findings. If you have a laptop with integrated graphics and you're keen to work out what games you can and can't play, I recommend giving this video a once over. Once Tim was done turning our favourite games into PowerPoint slideshows, I logged into the Matrix for some simulations. Ryzen 3 simulations to be precise, and here I looked into how the Ryzen 3 1200 and 1300X should perform. Those results turned out to be very accurate, but of course this is now a video you can comfortably skip since we have the real deal on hand. That said though, as there often are, there were quite a few humorous comments on that one, pretty much all unrelated to the content itself, but they were still funny nonetheless. You guys always give me something to laugh at. But if those jokes don't mesh with you, maybe this next video will. Alright, that was a bit lame, but anyway, I'll keep the dad jokes to a minimum. So anyway, Intel Mesh, does overclocking fix Skylake-X? In short, not really, but it certainly helps. Oh boy, was this a good one. Unboxing Boxes episode 32 was a blast, and for a few reasons. Firstly, you guys seem to really enjoy the intro on that one. I've been experimenting and messing around with the intros, but yeah, you guys really seem to like this one. The highlight, of course, though, was the Ryzen 3 CPUs, and you guys also seem to like the present AMD sent along with them. That was pretty cool. I won't spoil it for those sinners who haven't seen the episode yet, but go check it out. It was quite good. After I finished unboxing boxes, it was time to piece another massive 30-game comparison together, this time comparing the Ryzen 5 1600 against the Core i7 7800X. Basically, the R5 1600 just highlighted how bad the price versus performance ratio of Intel's new Skylake-X range really is. If you have any interest in either CPU, and you do plan on gaming, I recommend you check that video out. I'm pretty sure you won't be disappointed. Unless you're an Intel fanboy, in which case skip that one and let's check out MSI's Mammoth GTX 1080 Ti. Not much else really needs to be said about this next video. The MSI GTX 1080 Ti Lightning Z, Z, I'm an Australian, I'll say Z, was a beast. An expensive beast, but a beast all the same. Sadly, the Lightning Z didn't really overclock any better than other GTX 1080 Ti models that we've seen previously, but it did look amazing and it ran really cool, so for many that will be enough. Now, do you play Overwatch? What about CSGO? Maybe Rocket League, Rainbow Six Siege, or perhaps Quake Champions? No, none of those games? Well then, you need to have a serious look at your life, watch Tim's video, and educate yourself on what you're missing out on. Actually, I'm getting a bit off track here. Tim's video was more about how well these esports titles played on Ryzen, rather than a review of the games themselves. But anyway, another cool video from Tim there, and yeah, definitely check that out if you haven't. Next up, we have one of my absolute favorite videos last month. For this one, I checked out the new Corsair T1 race gaming chair, and I had a heap of fun doing it. The main reason I had a lot of fun with this one is because I got my 2 daughters involved, and they did have a great time building this chair with Dad. It was a lot of fun. I also showed you guys some rare behind-the-scenes Harbour Unboxed benchmark lab footage. So yeah, that one, if you're interested in the benchmark setup and how I go about my business, then yeah, I recommend checking that video out. All that stuff's in the second half of the video. After clowning around with the Corsair T1 race gaming chair, it was back to business. Time to check out the new Ryzen 3 CPUs. For real this time, no matrix simulations. Ryzen 3 pretty much delivered, and I'm a big fan of the R3 1200 at $110 US. The 19-minute long review is packed full of benchmarks, and I compared Ryzen 3 with every current generation CPU priced under $350 US. Then it was time for a classic Is the X Worth It video. This was a pretty quick video that I slapped together, but I included an important message I thought here about overclocking. It may be the world's briefest guide on Ryzen overclocking, but it still made the point very well. Ryzen is hella easy to overclock. Go do it, people. Capping off the month, we have You'll Never Guess It. Go on, try. I bet you can't. Actually, there's probably a good chance you can. If you said more Threadripper news without either a product in hand or any benchmarks, then you nailed it. Again, AMD decided to, just ahead of the Threadripper release, leak out a few more juicy details, as if it was possible to create any more hype. Anyway, that brings us to the end of July. A lot happened last month, and amazingly looks set for an even busier month this month. It's been pretty crazy so far already, so who knows what else we're going to run into. We also hit 100,000 subscribers last month. That's probably worth mentioning, and saying a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel and continues to watch all our content. We might even reach 150k this month. Probably a bit ambitious, but we'll get close. I can't believe we're almost already there. And yeah, who knows, we might even be able to hit 200k by the end of the year. Let's see how it goes. But yeah, I just want to say genuinely a big thank you to everyone. It's just amazing. As always, I have some really big benchmark videos planned, plus a new series that I won't go into too much detail or spoil anything, but it should be pretty mega. I'm super excited about it. Tons of time and energy have gone into planning it, and hopefully I will be announcing it in about a week or 2. So yeah, stay tuned for that. It's going to be pretty exciting. Tim's also got some really cool stuff planned. He'll be covering that soon on the channel. So yeah, set to be another great month. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. If you liked this video, please take a moment to help us out and hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to hit the notification bell to put yourself in contention to make that all-important first comment. I'm your host, Steve. See you again soon, guys.